my name is Gabby and welcome back to my channel, or if you're new here, then welcome to my channel, and today's video is going to be a book haul. This is a combination of like newish releases with things that I've been meaning to haul for a while, and then also some other random things that I came across on Instagram and just need in my life. I will have the content warnings for these books linked down below in the description, and let's go ahead and get into it. First up is going to be A Tempest of Tea by Hafsah Faizal. A Tempest of Tea follows our main character Archie, who runs an illegal blood house for vampires, of which she disguises as a tea house during the day. When her establishment gets threatened, Archie is forced to make an unlikely deal and call upon the city's most skilled outcasts to help her infiltrate vampire society. And they find themselves in the middle of a conspiracy that could threaten the entire world. This was one of my most anticipated releases of the year. It sounds like it's going to incorporate just like so many cool things. From the vampires to the outcasts, like I think this is going to have a really fun atmosphere and then also fun relationship dynamics. I still haven't finished this author's other duology and I kind of just want to start over at this point. And I'm hoping that this book gets me in the mood to do that because I feel like I'm gonna really like it. Next up is Demon in the Wood by Leigh Bardugo and Dani Pendergast. This is a graphic novel prequel to the Shadow and Bone trilogy that follows the Darkling's backstory. It's been a while since I've read anything from the Grishaverse, which makes me sad. And I do miss them. Like, there are times where all I want is something new from that series and I don't have it. But now I have this. I also do just want to haul graphic novels because I feel like I read them very quickly and then I just run out of them. And hopefully there's some interesting things in here regarding this character because part of me is a little over him, but part of me also isn't. Next up is Devon and Kris Plan a Wedding by Chencia C. Higgins. This follows one of our main characters, Kris, who is going to be a competitor on the reality competition show Instant I Do. In order to elevate her career as an influencer, our other main character, Devon, is also going to be a competitor on the show, as she is using it as an opportunity to come out of her shell and also come out to her mom, and is just kind of using this big flashy wedding as an excuse to do both. In order to win the show, these two are going to need to convince their friends and family that they are getting married for 6 weeks, but as each week of the show brings new challenges, it isn't long before the prize money no longer becomes the only thing at stake. This sounds like so much fun, like especially the reality competition show aspect of it, because I feel like a lot of what I watch are reality competition shows and or podcasts recapping or talking about reality competition shows. And I've enjoyed when books have incorporated them, or at least elements of them in the past, so that combined with the fake dating trope all sounds like it's going to be a really good time. Next up is Faebound by Saara El-Arifi. This follows our main character who was a warrior for the Elven army, and when a mistake lands both her and her sister in exile, they encounter the Fae Court, who haven't been seen in a millennium, and as they get more involved in their world, the two sisters find themselves torn between their home, their hearts, and their loyalty to each other. Okay, I'm not gonna lie, I fully bought this because of the cover, and it just felt like everyone on my Instagram feed was posting and raving about this book when it came out. So yeah, I caved, but I am really excited for the fantasy elements of this, specifically the world, especially based off of the cover, but also just the Fae. I tend to really love the idea of Fae-based stories, although I don't usually end up reading them that much despite loving them in the past. And I want to fix that because I am still very much interested in them, and I just feel like this book has such a good chance to be so beautiful and atmospheric, just like its cover. And I want that for this, and I want that for me so bad. Next up is Fat Chance Charlie Vega by Maldonado. This is a coming-of-age story that follows our main character Charlie, who wants to have a good relationship with her body. However, it's hard for her to have that when the entire world and also her mother have ideas and opinions on what she should look like. When she starts dating a cute classmate of hers, everything seems perfect until she finds out that he actually asked out her best friend first, as she begins to wonder if he really sees her at all because it's time that people started to see her. This is the first of a few coming-of-age stories that will be in this video, and I just really enjoyed the tone of the description when I read it on Storygraph. Like, I feel like I'm going to really like Charlie if her voice is anything like that, or really just the tone of the story in general, because it felt heartwarming and inspiring and like somebody finding and growing into their confidence, which I really loved. So I'm excited to get to know Charlie and see what this book has to offer because I feel like it could be really amazing and also like a little bit cheesy but cute enough to pull it off. Next up is Infinity Alchemist by Kacen Callender. This follows our main character Ash, who gets rejected from the Lancaster College of Alchemic Science, which means that he can't legally study magic. So he he gets a job as a groundskeeper and begins learning it in secret. He gets caught by an apprentice, and instead of having him arrested, she makes a deal with him. She will keep his secret if he helps her find the Book of Source, which gives its reader extraordinary power. This is another one of my most anticipated reads of the year. It's also a Kacen Callender book, and Kacen Callender is definitely one of my favorite authors. So I wanted to read it just because of that, but I'm also especially interested in this because I don't know if I've ever read this author go full fantasy before. Like, elements of fantasy and magical realism for sure, and I really love when I've read those elements in other Kacen Callender books, and I feel like there is going to be some really strong and beautiful writing just like in those other books. So I'm excited to see more of whatever magic this book has to offer, and then of course the characters too. Next is Light from Uncommon Stars by Ryka Aoki. This follows one of our main characters who, in order to escape damnation, must convince 7 other violin prodigies to trade their souls for success. She thinks that she has found her final candidate when she meets a retired starship captain who is starting to make her redefine what a soul is really worth. I have been meaning to haul this book for a long time now because I've just heard so many amazing things about it, and I would love to get into more sci-fi, specifically like starship space sci-fi, and I feel like queer starship sci-fi is just like exactly what I need in order to do that. The description on Storygraph also does compare this to Good Omens, which I love a lot of like the tone of humor in that book, and I also love and adore that relationship dynamic, so I'm hoping that those things also make its way in here. Next up is My First and Only Love by Sahar, Khalifeh. This follows our main character who, when she was young, met her first and only real love in a freedom fighter. They meet again years later, and he encourages her to read her uncle's memoirs that tell of her family and their national past. I was going to choose this as my next audiobook a couple of months ago, but I couldn't find it anywhere, so I moved on, and now I finally have my hands on it. And I am, of course, interested in our main character and her family and their story and want to learn about it, but I also am hoping for a really good romance in here. Like, I want this book to make my heart ache. And I feel like it has a good chance to do that and just pull many different emotions out of me, good romance or not. Next up is Naira and the Jinn by Yasmin Omar Atta. And this follows our main character who is dealing with a lot, from strict parents to bullying to friendship demands that leave her feeling exhausted. She is considering transferring schools when a Jinn shows up and uses their power and wisdom to help her navigate her life. However, she could be the one who ends up paying the price for this Jinn's mysterious past. Okay, so we have another graphic novel here, and from what I can see of the cover, I feel like I am going to really love this art style. Like, I really love the colors. Everything looks so pretty and magical, and that just makes me so excited to actually like get into it. And I'm also interested in seeing like what mysteries this has, what secrets it has to get uncovered, and just like all of the fantasy and magic. Next up is Nimona by ND Stevenson. This follows our main character who is a shapeshifter who becomes the sidekick to a supervillain. And together they set out to try to prove to the kingdom that a certain hero and his friends are not the heroes that everyone seems to think that they are. But as things escalate into a vicious battle and her powers become more unpredictable, things become much more dangerous. This is probably the one that I've been meaning to haul the longest out of any of these, or really out of anything. But I recently got the urge to watch the Netflix adaptation of this, and I almost did, but I held myself back and just told myself to finally haul and read the original like I had always planned to. And this sounds like it's going to be a lot of fun and have a lot of humor that's going to really resonate with me just from what I read from the description. And I just want to have a good time, and hopefully this will be that. Next up is Ophelia After All by Raquel Marie. This follows our main character Ophelia, who is a romantic with an endless stream of crushes, as she is someone who knows what she likes. But when she finds herself thinking more about a girl than the loss of a perfect prom with her ex-boyfriend, she begins to doubt the firm image that she has of herself and rediscovers who she truly is. So last year I hauled You Don't Have a Shot by Raquel Marie, and I actually didn't realize that these two books had the same author, but the cover is adorable, the description sounds adorable, again, very coming of age, and I'm very excited to get into this author because both books sound amazing, and now I just have to decide which one I'm reading first. Next up is Outdrawn by Deanna Gray. This follows one of our main characters, Noah, who after her webcomic reaches the top of the charts, receives an offer for a full-time position at a company that that is relaunching their cult classic comic. Everything is falling into place until she finds out that she has to work with her college rival. Which brings us to our other main character, Sage, who, despite having a ton of raw talent and success, is trying to fix her plateaued career by working on that same mainstream comic. These two have to learn how to work together as a team, which is already hard enough, but gets even harder when they begin to fall in love. This one is currently on my spring TBR, which was not an easy TBR to put together, but this book has been calling out to me ever since I first saw it, so like, I know I need to read it. And now it's probably going to get read faster than a lot of the other books in my TBR, because I am still feeling very called to it, and maybe even more so now that it's actually here. There's enemies to lovers, there's a focus on comics and art, and I just really feel like I am going to love this so much. Next up is Where Black Stars Rise by Nadia Shammas and Marie Enger. This is a horror graphic novel that follows two women after they get pulled into another world by a cosmic entity. I recently read Squire by Nadia Shammas and Sarah Alfagi like a month or two ago now, I think, but either way, I really enjoyed it. And again, I am really loving what I'm seeing from the cover, which makes me feel really good about what the art style is going to be inside of this. And like that, combined with the description, makes me feel like I am really going to love this aesthetic. It's also very short, which doesn't help with me wanting to have graphic novels on my physical TBR because I feel like this is going to get read pretty quickly. But also, like, we love short and quick reads here, so. And finally, we have XOXO and ASAP by Axie Oh. And XOXO follows our main character who has never really had time for anything other than her dream of becoming a professional cellist. But when she finds herself falling for a K-pop idol who is forbidden from dating anyone, she has to decide if love is worth risking everything that they have both worked so hard for. So ASAP is the companion novel to this one, and it's actually the one that I wanted to haul and read first because, again, the power of a good and adorable cover is unmatched. But then I found out it was a companion novel, and XOXO has an adorable cover in its own right, so I hauled both. And I would love just like a cute, fun, cheesy romance from both of these. Like the kind that's going to make my day better after I read it because it just elevates my mood. And I feel like both of these books have the potential to do that with like some angst too, so I'm ready. I need this. Okay, so that is all that I have for today's video. Thank you all so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell, and answer the question that'll be around here if you want to do that, and hopefully I will see you here next time. Bye!